Namaste. To begin our practice today, we're going to start in a standing forward fold Uttanasana. So come to the top of your mat. We'll have our feet about hip width apart and just let yourself drape over your legs, letting the spine hang down. You can begin with bent knees if you'd like, just to get your body into it. The head and neck are totally released. You can be holding the elbows or you can let the arms hang, whatever's comfortable for you. If it is comfortable to straighten the legs, then really pull up on the kneecaps, shift your weight forward into the balls of the feet. And connect with your breath here. Use your breath to take you slowly deeper into the pose. Turn your focus inward. Let any other thoughts or anything that's been on your mind during the day just melt away out of your consciousness for now. And resolve yourself to be very present here in this practice. If you have any other intention for your practice, you can connect with that at this time. Slow, even breaths in and out through the nose. You can use Ujjayi if you'd like. Really relishing this deep stretch of the whole back of the body, all the way from the feet, up through the hamstrings and the hips, down the spine, to the crown of the head. And then we'll move into spinal rolls. So let your knees bend a little bit. And on an inhale, come up to standing, rolling up through each vertebra, letting the arms and the head just hang until you get up to standing. And then still following the breath, raise the arms overhead and exhale, coming forward with a flat back. And then rounding over the legs at the end of the breath. Try to make it smooth and even. Bend the knees, inhaling all the way up. If you can lengthen the breath out to do this all on one inhale as the arms come overhead, that's the goal. Then exhale, fold forward, coming slowly all the way down. And one more time, bend the knees, inhale, rolling up, round spine. Arms follow overhead, and exhale, fold forward. Good, then pause here. We're going to bring the feet together and bend the knees so the hips go back. Inhale the arms up into Utkatasana. The chest is open as the hips move backward. Take one more inhale. And then on the exhale, we're going to twist so the left elbow comes outside the right knee. So the hands can be in prayer. We're pressing the elbow against the knee to try and bring the hands to the center of the chest. If this is really comfortable and your elbow is outside the knee, you can straighten the arms. We don't want to do this. So it's only if the elbow and the shoulder are outside the knee, then the arms can be straight. Otherwise, we're in prayer. And then inhale, coming back up. And exhale, twist the other direction. Right elbow to left knee. You can be looking up at the ceiling over your left shoulder, or straight ahead or down, whatever's comfortable for your neck. But looking over that shoulder will help with the direction of the twist. Good, then inhale, coming back to center, and exhale, fold forward. Bring the feet apart. So the feet are just a little wider than your shoulders. We're going to squat down, bringing the hips down and the elbows inside the knees into a yogic squat. So from the front, it looks like this. And again, I'm trying to bring my hands toward my heart center, pressing the elbows against the knees. Really want to be careful not to collapse into this. It's very easy to do. I want to stay lifted with the flat back, open through the chest. If it's hard for you to balance here and you're not very flexible in your ankle, if your heels are off the floor, you can place a rolled blanket underneath the heels, or you can roll up the back of your mat and do this as well. So it can be here. This will allow you to have some stability as you're working on opening up the back side of the ankle. Good, then wherever you are, bring the hands to the floor and straighten the legs again. Walking the feet back in, about hip distance apart. And then we'll bend the knees and roll all the way up, slowly, one vertebra at a time. Coming up to standing, and we'll bring the feet together in Tadasana. So I'm going to do a variation of a sun salutation. I've also heard this called a moon salutation. We'll go slowly the first time and then move it to the breath the subsequent rounds. So on the inhale, we'll bring the arms up and out to the side. Exhale, fold forward into Uttanasana. Inhale, lengthen the spine. And exhale, bring the right leg back and bring the knee down. Then on the inhale, sweep the arms up, Anjaneyasana on the right side. So in Anjaneyasana, the hips are square to the front. You want to avoid opening up like this. So hips are square, and I'm tucking my tailbone under as I come forward, rather than coming forward like this. I want to really lengthen through the hip flexors here. So it's core, and it's tucking the tailbone. It's okay for the knee to be a little bit in front of the ankle in this one. One more inhale. And then exhale the hands down. We'll tuck the back toes and step into plank. And then you can keep the knees up or bring them down if you want as we go into Chaturanga. You can come all the way to the floor if you'd like. Then inhale, Cobra or Upward Dog. And exhale to Downward Dog. Take a breath here in Down Dog. And then on the exhale, bring the right foot forward and let the left knee come down. Inhale, bring the arms up. Anjaneyasana on the left side. Sinking down a little further. You can even take a little bit of a back bend here if you'd like, moving the arms back by the ears and lifting through the upper back and chest. One more inhale. And then exhale, bring the hands down and step the left foot up to meet the right as you fold. Inhale the arms all the way up. And exhale, Tadasana. Again, inhale the arms up. And exhale, fold, Uttanasana. Inhale, lengthen, coming as high as you need for that flat back. And then exhale the right knee down and back. Inhale the arms up. And right away on the exhale, come into plank and lower into Chaturanga. You can hover here if you'd like. Then inhale, Upward Dog or Cobra. Then exhale, Downward Dog. Inhale here in Down Dog. Exhale, bring the right foot forward, left knee down. Inhale, the arms come up. And exhale, the arms come back down, and the left foot meets the right as we fold. Inhale, coming all the way up to standing with a flat back. Exhale, Tadasana. One more. Inhale, the arms up, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, fold. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, right leg goes back, knee down, inhale the arms up. This time on the exhale, take a twist. So the right elbow comes outside the knee. Pause here for a breath or two. You can also tuck the toes if you want a little bit more of a challenge, bringing the knee off the ground. Then on your next inhale, wherever you are, release the twist, bring the arms up, and exhale through plank and chaturanga. Inhale, upward dog. Exhale, downward dog. Pause in down dog on the inhale. And then exhale, bring the right foot forward. Back knee comes down. Inhale the arms up. And exhale, twist. Maybe coming up on that back toes. Now, another version of this, if this is even comfortable for you, you can eventually straighten the arms if the shoulder's outside the knee, similar to what we did in Utkatasana earlier. Otherwise, we're here. And then on the next inhale, either with the knee up or down, bring the arms back up. And exhale. This time, step into downward dog. Now from downward dog, we're going to bring the right foot forward a little bit wide so it's outside of the hands. We're going to spend a little time in this lunge. So you can be up on the hands or you can be down on the elbows if this is comfortable. Keep that knee in right over the ankle, back leg is engaged. You can even rock back and forth a little bit. Sometimes I like to do this to help loosen up my hips and my hamstring back in here. Might feel good to you. Good, then let's bring the left knee down and come back up onto your hands if you've been on the elbows. We're going to turn the right foot out a little bit, so my knee is facing off the mat this way. My left hand is going to go wide, and then I'm going to reach up and around to catch the outside of the foot here. So you can stay with it here, or you can start to work the foot back in toward the hips. If it's hard for you to catch your foot, you can use a strap or a belt, whatever you've got handy. So this with the strap looks like this. I can reach around and catch my foot with the strap. So if I'm only here, as long as you're feeling it, that's fine. What you don't want to do is reach this way to try and catch your foot. It's going to be really hard to get the foot, and then once I'm there, I'm so collapsed and I'm not getting the benefit of the hip flexor stretch. So you really want to open up through the shoulder and sink down in the hip in order to catch that foot. Go ahead and release that leg, plant the hands, and press back to downward dog. Then we'll do this on the left. So bring the left foot forward outside of the hands and come into your lunge. Bring the elbows down if it's comfortable. Maybe rocking back and forth a little bit. Try not to let that knee move out to the side. Really keep it pinned in toward the shoulder. Then bring the right knee to the ground. Come back up onto the hands. Left foot turns out, right hand is off the mat. Then inhale, opening through the shoulder and reaching around to take the outside of the foot. So you can stay here if that's enough. Or bringing the heel in toward the hip is a little bit of a different experience. You might feel it more in the knee or maybe more in the quadricep rather than the hip flexor. But just move compassionately. Be careful with your knees. If you're ever feeling too much pressure on that knee, then please back out. Staying lifted through that standing arm rather than, you don't want to collapse down here. You really want to press into your hand and stay lifted up. Then release that side. And press back into plank and lower all the way down to the ground. So we're going to get a little bit into the front of the chest, doing a nice shoulder stretch here. You're going to take the left hand and reach it straight out to the side, and then press up so you're laying on your left side. All right, so this is version 1. If this is comfortable, you can take your right foot and bring it to the ground here. That's the second step. Next step is to reach around with the right hand and maybe interlace the fingers clasping the hands. And if even this is comfortable, then I can bring the left foot to the ground and be here. But wherever you are, try and stay lifted rather than collapsing down like this. Really working to stay up. Then I'll give you a front view if this is new to you. The left hand is straight out. First coming up here, then the foot comes down. I reach around. You might have to bend the elbow in order to clasp the hands, and then straighten them again. And then here is the final pose. So any of those 4. And then wherever you are, go ahead and release, coming back to center. And we'll do the other side. Take the right arm out, straight out, then press yourself up onto your right side. Maybe the left foot comes to the floor. Maybe you can reach around with the left hand and clasp the hands. And then the final expression, possibly bringing the right foot to the floor as well. So if both feet are on the floor, the knees are pointing straight up. Again, staying lifted off the head of the shoulder. You should really be feeling this in the front of the shoulder and the chest. It's a nice twist for the spine as well, if your feet are on the ground. Good, then release that and come back out the way you came. From here, I'm going to take the hands around behind the back, so I'm laying on my stomach, head is down, legs are together. And on an inhale, we'll reach back with the hands and up with the legs, lifting off the ground into a nice easy back bend here. Try and keep your breath going. The bandhas, the core, they're engaged. Even though we're doing a back bend here, you still want to keep those abdominals working. Inhale, lift a little more. And exhale, come down. Just take a little breath here. And then getting a little more into the front of the hip. Let's come up on our elbows. So the left arm is your support here. Again, we're reaching around and back with the right, taking hold of the instep of the right foot. Then the hand turns around so the fingers are facing forward. And I've got one line from the top of my foot to my wrist to my elbow. That allows me to press down on my foot to really send the stretch into the quadricep and the hip flexor. Mostly the quadricep you're going to feel here. Again, be careful with your knees and try to stay lifted here. If I'm lifted, I can really get this sort of line from the elbow to the wrist to the foot. If I'm collapsed, see what that does, and then I don't really have the leverage to press down, so you really want to stay up as high as you can in order to find this here. Okay, then go ahead and release that side. And we'll take the other side, lifting up on the right elbow, reaching around with the left hand, turning the palm so that the fingers face the front, and pressing down into that left foot. Breathing deeply. Then release. And we're going back into downward dog. Bring the hands outside the rib cage, tuck the toes. See if you can press straight up. You need to come into your knees in between, that's fine. Then from here, inhale the right leg up behind you, and exhale, bring it forward. We're going into pigeon. So here in pigeon, it's okay to be up a little bit. If you're not that flexible, you can be up. If you want to put a block or a pillow underneath your hip, you can for support. However, even if you're high, it's nice to work without it because then you can get used to really using the inner thighs and the core to support yourself rather than collapsing down onto that side. And even if you're flexible and you're low down, you really want to try not to do this. Try and stay lifted, okay? Then inhale, opening the chest, and exhale, start to come forward. So you can be on the knees. Maybe you can be down all the way on the chest. Bring your attention back inward. Come back to your breath if you've lost it. If you're all the way down and this is comfortable for you, you can take a bind as a variation. It's another twist too. So I can reach underneath my right arm with my left, so I'm on my left shoulder. Then reach around with the right hand, and I can take my toes with my right hand. So this is a nice variation, but it is definitely a very deep version of this pose. So if you're not comfortably laying here on your chest, then just wait. Only take it as far as is comfortable for you. If you're bound, go ahead and release. And then come on back up onto your hands. I'm going to turn forward so that you can see this next part a little better. A few different variations. We're going to take a counter stretch in the other hip flexor. So take the left arm up, and you can take the instep of the foot. This is version 1. Version 2 is to turn the hand around like we did before when we were on the ground. So you're loading down into that foot, and this is a big stretch for the quads. So for most of you, this is probably going to be enough. But if you're used to practicing this pose, or once you get used to it, and once you open up a bit, you might be able to take the foot into the crook of the elbow, and then reach overhead and around to take the bind. So that's version 3. Or if you're working on the full pose, Raja Kapotasana, you can take the pinky toe, the elbow comes up, and the other hand goes back for the full pose. And you'll see those in profile once we get to the other side. But stay wherever is comfortable for you. And now we've been here a while, so you can go ahead and release that foot, ground the hands, tuck the back toes, press into downward dog, reach that right foot all the way up, and then bring it back down to the floor. Good. Then inhale the left foot up, and exhale, bring it forward into pigeon. Another little adjustment here that you can make is to keep those back toes tucked, lift up off the knee, slide back, then set it down a little more. That gives you a little bit of a deeper pose. But wherever you are, you want to be engaged and lifted. Then inhale, opening the chest, and exhale, slowly come forward. If you're all the way down and your head is turned, turn your head the opposite way. Wherever you had it last time, Just turn it the other way, taking care of your neck. If you want to try the bind, the right hand can reach under the left arm, and the left hand might be able to take the toes. So this is what it looks like from the other side. Otherwise, we're just working with this forward bend wherever is comfortable. Breathing deeply. And come on up. And again, we'll take whichever variation you like of Rajakapatasana. Reaching around to take the instep of the foot. This is number 1. Option 2 is here. Option 3 is the bind. Once you're bound, you want to really try and square the shoulders again. Okay, and then option 4, if you're working on the full pose, I'm turning my arm out so I can reach my toes. And then the elbow comes out and up. Okay, but in any of those deep back bends, remember to keep this engaged, keep tucking in the tailbone. Okay, then release that leg. Bring the hands in front, tuck the back toes, and press all the way up, reaching with the left foot. Then back to downward dog. And we'll start to wind this down. Come on up to the front of your mat and take a little bit of a counter stretch here in Virasana. So we've done a lot with getting into the outer side of the hip in external rotation. So this is internal rotation with the heels here outside of the hips. A couple of adjustments in this one. If you're not sitting on the floor or you're feeling too much in your knees, you can take a block or some pillows or a stack of books, whatever you've got, and you can be sitting up on that. This is really good if you're recovering from a knee injury or if you've just got tight knees. Start as high as you need. If you need to be here or even higher, start with that. Books are good because then you can just pull them out one at a time. And eventually over time, you're going to get down to here. And eventually down to here. And the other thing is if it's too much on your ankles, another variation is to roll the front of your mat or take a folded up blanket. And you're kneeling on that blanket or on that lifted portion. So I've got a little bit of a lift here and my feet are hanging off. So it's not as much of a stretch in front. So if you've got a thick mat, this might work, but otherwise a folded blanket is better. All right. So those are a bunch of variations for Virasana. But otherwise you're here, and we'll take it back into Supta Virasana now, if you want one more back bend. So you can bring the hands back and just do a light one right here. This is fine, still getting a lot of benefit. If it's really easy for you, you can come down onto the elbows, letting the head go back, or you can tuck the tailbone and let the shoulders and the head come to the floor. Maybe even taking the arms overhead, whatever feels good to you. But keep the knees down and together. Ribs are in. And to come out, if you're all the way down, you can push up onto the elbows and then use a hand to support you, but try and come up using your core so you're not twisting to one side or the other. Okay, you really want to come up bilaterally. And then we'll just come forward and move the legs out. And take a nice forward bend to counteract these back bends. So you can move the flesh of your hips out from underneath. Try and feel your sit bones against the floor. Rock your hips forward and inhale the arms up. And exhale, taking the toes. You can use the strap here as well. If you can't quite reach your toes, you can use a strap or a belt here. And you really want to pull forward this way so you see how I'm moving from my hips rather than caving forward like this. That goes for if you've got your toes too. If I'm here, it's not nearly the benefit as if I'm here. If my back is, especially the lower back, if it's rounded, you're going to be putting a lot of pressure on the discs of your lower vertebrae. Whereas if you're here, you're getting more length in the hamstrings and you're strengthening the spine. Then I'll release that. I'll move my strap off to the side. Marichiyasana. Let's bring the right foot up. So I've got about a palm's width in between the instep of my foot and my inner thigh. That's going to give me room to come forward. So from here, I'm going to inhale the right arm up and exhale coming forward. Try and make contact between the knee and the shoulder. The leg should be against the rib cage. Then we're turning the hand and reaching around. Then inhale up and open to take the bind. So you can work this with a strap too. If you don't quite have the bind, you can work here. The more you can open rather than being down here, the easier it's going to be to get that bind. If this is hard for you, you can even just work right here. Just trying to lengthen the spine as you come forward, trying to get that shoulder inside of the knee. Don't forget about your straight leg. Try and keep that foot flexed. And then if you're bound, release. And we'll take a counter twist. The right hand comes back. Inhale the left arm up. And exhale, taking the twist. You can hug the right knee into your chest, or you can bring the elbow outside the knee. If you're proficient in Marichiyasana and you want to take the full pose, you can reach around here and take the bind as well. So that's a more advanced option. But any of these, you're getting the benefit of the twist. And on the inhale, release the arms. And exhale that leg down. Inhale the left leg up. And find yourself in this position with, again, a palm's width between the foot and the inner thigh. On the inhale, the left arm comes up. And exhale, reach forward and around. Then inhale, open as you come around to take the bind. If it's easier for you to bind, you can try and take your right wrist with your left hand. So tightening it up a little bit is another challenge. But don't push yourself too hard, just work wherever is appropriate today. Eventually the shoulders come square again so that I'm taking a forward bend over my straight leg. And then we'll release. Bring the left hand behind. Inhale the right arm up and exhale, twisting to the left, either hugging the knee, bringing the elbow outside the knee, or this is what the bind looks like from this side. You reach around and take the bind. Wherever you are, just trying to lengthen through the spine, turning the head toward the back of the mat, over your shoulder if that's comfortable. Don't forget about that straight leg, keep it engaged. Good. Inhale, release the twist. And exhale, release the leg. One more forward bend to finish up here. Inhale the arms up. And exhale, coming forward. You can take the toes again or whatever variation you did before. Or if you want to go a little deeper, you can take the sides of the foot or maybe even clasp the hands. Still keeping the back straight, the chest moving forward. Couple more breaths. And then let yourself round over. A nice stretch of the whole spine. Then let the hands come to the sides and slowly start to roll up to sitting, just letting the arms and the head hang. When you get back up to sitting, continue to roll all the way down. Nice and slow, with control, making it slow and smooth and even. All the way down to the floor. One more pose, Ananda Balasana, happy baby. So we'll bring the knees up and wide. You take the outsides of the feet with the hands and pull the knees in. Trying to keep the lower back on the floor. If you want to rock side to side, sometimes that feels good. Just one last little stretch in the hips. If you want one more stretch for the hamstrings, you can straighten the legs here. Pressing the lower back and sacrum down into the floor. And wherever you are, come on back in with your knees. Just hug them into the chest. Bring the shoulders and the head up to meet the knees. Take one more breath in. And then exhale. Sigh it out and let it go. Time for Shavasana. We've done a lot of opening today of the major joints of the body, the hips and the shoulders. We've done a lot of opening through the front of the spine, the back of the spine. So even in this short practice, you should feel nice and open and hopefully a little more aligned than you did before. So enjoy your Shavasana. Really feel all those major joints, the shoulders, the hips, just sink into the floor. Let the bones be heavy. Feel space in the joints. And I hope you can take this openness with you into your day, into your mood, into your mindset, into your life. Enjoy your Shavasana. Stay here as long as you like. And thank you for your practice. Namaste.